back to Atypical Talk. This is a podcast where we have conversations that illuminate the intersection of faith, culture, and the common spaces of our humanity. I'm Abby.
I'm Allison.
And I'm Joel.
And we are jumping in today with a question about the zombie apocalypse. You know,
what's on
our mind constantly.
You know, it is Tuesday when we're recording.
Just another day.
So it'll be dropping on Thursday. You know, it's a zombie kind of thing.
So to start off, I had you guys take a quiz, but I want to know, before you took this quiz, did you guys think you could survive the zombie apocalypse?
Absolutely not. 0 out of 5 stars.
No way, shape, or form will I be a survivor in the zombie apocalypse, in the event of one.
I feel like I could last a few weeks. Then, I think I could last just a few weeks. I know enough survival skills. I feel like I'm sneaky enough. And, I walk really quietly. They're not going to hear me. And so I feel like I could last a couple weeks. But I was telling them earlier, as soon as my glasses break, I'm done.
Yeah.
The handicap of that, right?
Yeah, we've already decided. I need to make an eye doctor appointment to get contacts. In the event of a zombie apocalypse, I'll throw those bad boys in. So once I lose my vision, I'm out.
So for you, when you envision survival, is it like staying where you are, or are you out and about?
I gotta go out into the woods.
You can't hunker down.
Hunker
down. Yeah, that's not going to make it work. But I feel like that's the only way I'd make it a couple days, is if I just stayed in my room, barricaded there. I'd make it until I starve. I'd make it, right? But I'm not going out and making that happen.
Yeah. But I had you guys take this quiz. So what were your results of the quiz, and were you surprised by them?
Because I was a survivor, obviously. So I was like, this can't possibly be true, but it was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was a skilled survivor, 13 out of 16 of the zombie questions, right?
Yes, that's why I only missed 3 as well.
And but the reality is, it's not because I would actually be a survivor. It's because I've consumed zombie movies and TV shows
you knew
like
the right
this
answers
for a while, and I'd seen the person do the dumb thing, and I'm like, don't do that dumb thing. It's only from The Walking Dead and other shows where I've seen people like, this is how they go, and this is not how I'm going to go. That's why.
I know.
Yeah. I was a survivor too. I was a little surprised because I ended up getting 5 questions wrong. Which
so how many can you miss and still survive? That's what I need to know.
Mm-hmm. But this was literally the first quiz that came up when I searched "Can you survive a zombie apocalypse quiz?" So it wasn't a great quiz in my opinion.
I had to actually think about some of these. I was like, what would I actually do versus what does this quiz want me to say I would do? Because some of the answers probably wouldn't have been the same.
Yeah, because some of the scenarios were weird too. Like, I wouldn't help this random lady. What if she's trying to trap me?
Nope,
Things like that. Yeah.
Sorry, Lisa, you're on your own.
But why would she try to trap you?
Because she's a zombie?
No, you would know. That's not how it works, Allison.
Oh,
I was thinking Raiders and things like that. Yeah.
Well, then there was one about a dog, and I was like, nope, I'm definitely yelling at this dog to get it to go away. And the right answer was like, no, just back away slowly. I was like, nope, that can't possibly be true.
My answer about the dog was just basically try to cajole it to bring it to you, and hey, come here, and try to pet it, which was not going to work in a zombie apocalypse. So that's another way that I would die, probably.
I know. I just want to pet the dog, even though it was like, rabid and scary.
Yep.
It's fine.
Our first article today is a Relevant magazine article titled "The Real Danger of Culture's Post-Apocalyptic Obsession." Looking at our most popular movies and shows, it seems that we have a pretty negative outlook on the future of humanity. The current most popular HBO show is The Last of Us, where the main characters are surviving an apocalypse after a pandemic that turns people into zombie-like creatures. The Walking Dead recently concluded their series about surviving the zombie apocalypse as well, and there's plenty more examples. Although we may love these stories, the author says it's maybe not because we think our world is headed in that direction. If we did think that way, we would just shrug it off when there's a natural disaster and tragedy. But instead, we hurt and we want our world to be better. The author says, we seem to think that in the long term, things are going to go badly. But at the same time, we think that things can and should get better. I believe we need to pick one or the other. Either things can get better or abandon hope, all you who enter here. Christians over the years have focused on an escapism that we will eventually go to heaven and need not focus on our world. So what do you think about the author's take on how we view these types of things?
Oh, man. I don't even know who wants to go first. But I'm in camp, things can get better. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that's naive or like me looking through like rose-colored glasses or anything like that, but I believe in science. I also believe in faith. I believe that we can learn from past mistakes or experiences and do them differently, maybe even better the next time that we encounter them. I'm not of the camp that history always repeats itself exactly the same way. So I don't know. I'm in camp things can get better.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how, if you're a person of the Christian faith, I guess I do know how you could not think things will get better, but I can't spend any time there. If Jesus rose from the dead, then everything sad is eventually going to become untrue. And so, yes, I think that things will get better, and ultimately Jesus and his way, his kingdom is coming here and spreading, and it's not yet, but we're living in that overlap of the now and the not yet, and things will get better. Things are getting better. And so we can't just throw our hands up saying, oh, it doesn't matter. I mean, I think there's so much damage done when we just say, well, this world is going to fade away. I'm just passing through, or I'll fly away, so I need not worry about my neighbors or treating people any different while I'm actually here. It's that escapism that the author talks about that I think is so dangerous. And I don't know, I'm trying to still pinpoint what it is inside of me that I'm drawn to these post-apocalyptic stories, though, right? Because I started watching The Last of Us on HBO, and it's like my appointment television. Like, I've got to watch it as soon as possible, because on Monday morning, so many people that are going to want to talk about it. I'm just drawn to it. I think as I've been thinking about this, why I'm drawn to these post-apocalyptic stories, whether it be like a show like Lost or The Walking Dead or anything like that, I think I might be drawn to it because it feels like in the midst of the rubble, in the midst of nothing is working, there seems to be a ragtag group of people that see it differently and are fighting for a better thing, not just throwing their hands up in the air saying, come get me, zombies, it doesn't really matter anymore. But people that are trying to order their world around love and community and holding each other together. I think one of the powerful things that The Last of Us has done, this new show on HBO, is that it has these profound and beautiful, really human moments in these terrible situations. And maybe that's why I'm drawn to it more than just the scare or the idea of the apocalypse or anything like that. But it's the reality of through the rubble, through the mess, that there can be hope. And I'm trying to be a follower of Jesus. And if I don't believe that there can be hope out of mess, out of brokenness, then what am I using God for outside of fire insurance, like this thing where you get out of hell free card, and I don't think Jesus was about the bare minimum entry requirements to get into heaven. That's not what he talked about. It's not what he was on about. So I'm drawn to these stories not because I think that the world isn't getting better, can't get better, but it's because I do, and I love seeing stories of against all odds, people pulling together, people protecting each other, people fighting through the mess and the muck for a better world. I think that'd be a cool thing if churches and Christians were known for telling that story in the midst of our mess, instead of just signing petitions, putting signs in our yards, yelling at people on social media about how the world's going to hell in a handbasket, as my grandmother used to say. And so, I think maybe that's why I'm drawn to these stories. And I think it's connected to what I believe about Jesus and my purpose on earth. And, if you've ever been around our church here in North Central Indiana at Bridgeway, we say all the time that we're here not just to believe some things and get evacuated and shot up to our mansion in heaven, but we're here to partner with God, to put the world back together, to bring the stuff of up there down here, to make it like Kokomo as it is in heaven, our families, our homes, our workplaces as it is in heaven. And that's what Jesus' mission was, to bring his presence, his wholeness to everything and everywhere, instead of just, I'm going to barricade myself in the room and hope the zombies don't get me.
Right. Yeah. Because, if you abandon all hope, like, what even is the point, So I don't know. I just feel like I exist to, make the world and the people and the places around me better in some small way. Sure, I may not be able to change the world, but I can change my little world right here. And, if you don't believe that, it's one of those things where you're like, what's the point of life at that point? So I don't know. I just don't want to sit idly by and wait until it's over.
Yeah,
that's so sad.
I think I was just thinking about what you mentioned earlier about, believing in faith and science, God and science. Like, that also doesn't mean that we shouldn't learn and have these stories be cautionary tales to what we're doing to our planet, what we're doing in the face of crisis. Are we going to bury our head in the sand when we're hit with a scientific fact saying we've got to change something, or this world for our kids and this world for us or the next generations is not going to be safe for them? I mean, I think both things can be tied together because God is about people, and he loves people, and he cares about people. So we should, in the light of new discoveries and things that we understand differently, we should ask the question, what does it mean to love our neighbor in this? What does it mean to be of sacrifice and care for people that are in danger, not only people that are related to us or look like us or vote like us? And so, I think my faith and my belief that the world can and will and does get better is tied to me believing in science and me listening to experts and understanding those things. So if you've watched The Last of Us, you just know that now I'm never going to eat pancakes again. That's that's it. That's it. There's your big spoiler alert,
Allison's concerned
She
about
has not seen
pancakes
it.
now.
Better not have pancakes or cookies from the neighbors or biscuits, right? Anything like that. I love it.
So our next topic today is about a TikTok video that Allison sent me the other day. It was posted by Mara McCullough. Mara posted a video on January 22nd of her mom and mom's roommate going to a signing Starbucks in Washington, D.C. Both her mom and her mom's roommate are deaf. The front of the building has pictures of hands finger-spelling Starbucks that Mara points out in the video. The shop has employees that are hearing, hard of hearing, and deaf. They're all required to be fluent in American Sign Language. Another way that this store is deaf-friendly is by using a large electronic screen that shows your name when your drink is ready instead of calling out your name. A sign on the wall says, "Our store's purpose is to inspire and build community through the power of sign language and deaf culture, one cup at a time." This deaf Starbucks in Washington, D.C. is a great example of serving an underserved community. I just love this and seeing the excitement on her mom's face and her mom's roommate's face getting to go to this place and signing with people and just having conversations that they don't get to have all the time because of that barrier.
Yeah. No, I also love it so much for that very reason, because it just seems like, this small gesture of inclusion, just I don't want to say easy way, but I think sometimes we make inclusion harder than it needs to be. So that also got me thinking, why don't we have those electronic boards, those signs that they have to let you know when your drink's ready, at all the Starbucks? Because it's not like Starbucks in big cities are quiet. They're super noisy, not just the coffee makers, but, the people that are talking and everything. So even if you are not, if you don't have total hearing loss, maybe you just have limited hearing, those would still be super helpful. It would also, I saw an article about the signing Starbucks as well, and it said that at the registers, they have these notepads where you can write your order and your name, and then the barista inputs the order that way or whatever, and you pay. So this would even be super beneficial, those notepads, for people who are nonverbal or non-speaking, and because now they can also walk up to the register. Right now you can mobile order, sure, but why not make it to where everybody can have the exact same experience? If they can walk up, write their order, turn the notepad around, and I don't know, it just seems so simple in some ways.
Well, it's intentional. It's not maybe something that's going to break the budget of every Starbucks, but it is the thought, and it's the thinking beyond your normative experience to other people. And I think that's where the magic happens, and that's where so many of us just miss it. Myself included often. Just have to say, take that Dunkin' Donuts Moves yours. I remember about a year ago, I was studying in the book of Exodus, and this moment where God's people have been rescued from being enslaved by Egypt, and they're traveling in this ancient caravan in their beginning journey of finding the promised land. And there's this moment where God chastises his people because of the way they had ordered this caravan. They had put the weakest among them in the very back of the caravan. You see, at this time, whoever was in the back, they were the most vulnerable to being picked off by raiders or picked off by wildlife or to be in danger. And I was just taken aback by God's heart towards that. And when he said that, because of the way you've ordered this society and you've not taken care of the most vulnerable, you've not put them in the middle where they could be protected by other clans and other families, you're missing the mark. And I had somebody tell me through this that the true strength of a community is where you place the most vulnerable among you, not the normal Western American capitalistic way of top dogs on top and everybody has to fend for themselves at the bottom. But the true strength of a community in God's economy and God's ordering is where you place the vulnerable, where you place those who can't for themselves, who have a non-normative experience. And I've just been so struck by that idea in the way that we think, and we are trying to be intentional about people that have handicaps, disabilities, any kind of non-normative experience, whether that be a family who has a child on the spectrum of autism, whether that be someone who started coming to our church a few months ago who is legally blind, people that have sensory issues and things like that they fight every day for walking into rooms that are not built for the way that they're built. And man, I'm just really taken by this idea of the intentionality behind this, to think, okay, who's a community or a group of people that have been pushed to the edges? They're the most vulnerable, and we're putting them at the back of the line. They don't help our bottom line, air quotes, and so we're going to put them in the back of the line. And that's just not the way of Jesus, and that's what resonates with me on this story of this Starbucks, because this is not a community that they're going to start making a ton more money because of this. And it wasn't expensive to do it, but it was intentional to say that we're not going to put the most vulnerable at the back. We're going to protect them. We're going to do something for them to build us closer together. And I think that's a beautiful thing that we can learn in so many different ways, and that we can build a better world that's more inclusive for people that don't see the world or walk through the world the same way we do, because there's a lot of us.
When I was thinking too, like this Starbucks, anyone can go there. It's not, only for deaf people. And so I think that also is an opportunity for people like you and I who don't have a lot of interaction with deaf people to go in and see how they're interacting with the baristas, how this experience is for them. Like, I feel like this is also a learning opportunity for other people in that community just to see. And because I just feel like we always need to be thinking of barriers that make people feel like they don't belong or that they're not like everyone else. And so I loved this story. It was amazing.
And Starbucks is great about this. I follow other deaf creators on TikTok and stuff, and I've seen videos where they'll come to the drive-through window, and I forget what they have to do to signal, hey, I'm deaf, I need someone to sign with me. And some of the Starbucks will have someone on staff who knows ASL, and they can turn on a webcam that shows up on the drive-through screen and sign with them. So Starbucks is great at this, at being inclusive for people who are deaf. So I think that's awesome.
For those at home, this is now 2 valuable things that have come from TikTok. There might be billions and billions of videos there, and now we have discussed, I think, 2 things that Joel Arison says was valuable to my heart, soul, and mind.
Okay, good.
Because it's a desolate wasteland that is coming for all of us with their evil algorithms. but these are two valuable things.
Yeah. 2023, we're getting Joel to get on TikTok. Yeah.
I'm going to get
I'm here for
on
it.
the tickety-tockety? Tick-tackety-tock? Okay. Old man.
I was going to say, and I'm the old one? Okay.
So on the topic of Starbucks, what is your go-to Starbucks drink?
Okay, so are we talking like every day? Are we talking during the holidays? I need to be a little more specific here.
Wow.
I know.
It'll have to be every day.
Just the go-to.
Okay. Well, so actually today I tried a different, something I never tried before because that's who I am as a person. I like to mix it up sometimes. So I actually tried a hot latte with brown sugar syrup in it. Mm-hmm. It was so good. I know, you're looking at me like it was disgusting.
Well, like, no, I'm not like it's disgusting, but like, did you hear about this or did you randomly like...
Well, so on the app, I saw where they had like the brown sugar shaken espresso or whatever. And I've had the shaken espressos before and it's okay, but I wanted something hot this morning because it's cold outside.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, what if I add the brown sugar syrup to my latte? Delicious. 10 out of 10 would recommend. Wow. But during the holidays, literally, there's no better drink than a hot caramel brulee latte. Not a single one. Mm-hmm. I'll stand by that.
You're fancy.
I'll die on that hill.
Yeah. For me, I get pretty regimented with my Starbucks order. And I got a bunch of Starbucks gift cards through the holidays. And I think I'm going to make it to February 1. Like, this is a really big deal. It's always the joke if I get gift cards at Christmas.
Especially
like,
because you're adding extra espresso shots.
Well, that's the
every
thing
time.
because my order it's like a $7.06 order. So and I'm making it. I'm making it through to February. But yeah, so I used to get like a latte with 2 or 3 shots of espresso in it, and then I would add like 1 pump of caramel or caramel syrup. Caramel, to be real fancy. Say it like that.
Do you drink it with your pinky up too?
I have to. But I remember ordering it on the app once, and a normal latte comes with 3 pumps of caramel syrup, and it was like 300 calories just in the syrup, and I'm like, I'll just go down to 1. And then a couple months ago, I was trying to do less sugar, and so I went away from no syrup, and now I add an extra shot of espresso because I got 2 toddlers. So it's a quad shot hot latte right now, and when it is warm outside, I just move it to iced latte with quad shot of espresso, and then I am ready to go. It is
until about noon, and then afternoon coffee,
and then an afternoon something. But that's my go-to, and I like it because it's coffee forward. Not like sweet forward. I give Allison crap all the time because I don't think she likes the taste of coffee. She likes the sugar, creamy stuff, and then
it's fine. I like the benefits of espresso and coffee, but I like sugar syrup. Mm-hmm. So Abby, you don't like coffee.
No,
so what
I don't drink coffee.
It's the worst thing about Abby, by the way. I don't know if we would have hired her if I would have asked this on the front. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, so I don't drink coffee, so I go there for an occasional sweet treat, and so I just get a double chocolate chip cream frappuccino.
That's a milkshake.
Yeah. Like I said, it's a sweet
so
treat.
Good. Yeah, it is delicious.
Yeah, but very chocolatey, very sweet, and it's so good. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So do you ever? I mean, I know you just give me crap because I order stuff randomly featured on the app, but you never see something that they post and you're like, oh, I want to try that, like seasonally.
I'm. It's
just
maybe my personality of. I don't like when I feel like I'm being marketed to. I almost have this kind of like reverse kind of thing where like, don't tell me what to order. Yeah. I know like you're pushing this on me and I bet it does taste good, but dang it.
I'm not
it's my Enneagram 8. I'm not going to try that. I'll drink and I'll eat what I want to. So I kind of push up against it, and that's my thing. Even though I agree with you, that probably tastes delicious and I probably look great too. But it's just a weird punk rock thing that I never grew out of as like a middle schooler listening to Blink-182.
No, my thing is I don't want to spend money on something and then not like it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I just spent $7 on a drink and I hate it.
Yeah.
I do
That's
get
a terrible
that.
experience.
That does make me mad.
Yeah. So our final article today is titled No More Fridays. This is a Business Insider article. In February of 2022, 33 companies joined in on a study to see how their employees handled a 4-day work week. The employees were paid the same as they were for a 5-day work week, but the study was to see if they could be as productive in only 4 days. So it was less hours, less days. The results were overwhelmingly positive. Companies in the program reported increased revenue and improved employee health and well-being, and had a positive impact on the environment. And after the success, 100 more companies that together employ thousands of people are considering or are already implementing the same approach. The companies that took part in the trial have reported almost no downsides. None of the 27 companies that filled out a final survey for participants said they had any plans to return to a 5-day week. And nearly all of the 495 employees involved in the trial wanted to maintain the 4-day working week.
Of course they did.
Yeah, I was going to say, why would they say, hey, let's go back to 5?
Yeah, who's going to say that?
But this is an article that Joel sent me. So what was it that you thought?
Yeah, boss.
Yeah. Are you trying to cut down on
what have I done? Is what I'm reading. No,
concur.
actually, Nico Gruber, our student pastor, our next gen pastor, texted me this because I'm always giving him crap because he's always like, do we have this holiday off? Do we have this holiday off? Like
it's raining outside.
Yeah,
we get the day off.
Yeah, that's about it. So I always tell him he never wants to work, and then he sends me this saying, he goes, the results are in, boss, or something like that. So I think it's really fascinating. It's one of those things, and I don't want to do this with faith or how I understand the Bible or how I parent or anything, but why do we do 5 days the way that we do, right? And is it scientifically based or was it based off of a different time? I remember learning years ago that the reason why we have the school year ordered the way that we do in America with summers off was because it was set during an agrarian time based on the farming calendars where kids could help their parents at home during those times. And I'm like, well, that's some kids today, but it's definitely not the normative
not
American
the majority,
experience. So why do we do that? And I always think it's a great question to ask. And it is fascinating that these companies and these employees didn't feel a lack of productivity, and they felt like they could get as much done, what they need to get done as possible. I'm skeptical of that across every industry, and I'm also like just thinking about my workload, and so much of what I get to do is, or what I do is meeting with people, and that cuts a whole other day out, and I'm trying to meet with people when they're available, and maybe they'd be available because they're not working, but it still work for me to be meeting with them, all those kind of things. And so I wonder how it works across every sector. I also wonder, there's this episode of The Office early on when Michael Scott, the manager at the paper company, is doing he calls it Movie Monday, where they watch a movie the beginning of every Monday morning. And he's like, it's really boosted productivity, and it cuts away to another employee. Yeah, because we have less time, we just have to hurry up, and we have to work so much harder and faster because we lose all this time watching a 3-hour movie on Mondays. So I wonder too if there's an element of when your back's up against the wall, you just work harder and you don't take the micro breaks that you normally take, or take the longer lunch, or you can't take your appointments during those days, and so you have to jam them all in another day. So there's lots of variables inside of it. But I think I was really taken back by just reflecting on this, like, why am I so afraid of this? Why does this sound impossible? Why is it that you're drawn to it, but you look at what you feel like you have to get done, need to get done, what you need to produce, and you're like, there's no way. And I was just reflecting on it, and it comes back to something that's, I think, deeply ingrained in me and many of us as Americans, at least. But this whole idea of our identity being tied to what we produce and how we perform and how we get things done and how much we can get done. And I am in process in that. I don't have that completely figured out, because do I feel better when I feel like there's a great outcome in my work, or I had a great meeting and a breakthrough, or when we have a new initiative and it's accomplished at the church? Like, do I feel better when that happens compared to when that doesn't happen? Yeah, I do. And it's really easy for my identity and my worth to be tied into what I produce. And I think underneath why I'm like, this couldn't work is because, I love my work, but my identity can be wrapped up in it. And just like everybody's identity can be wrapped up in what they produce, how they're doing, what their boss says about them, the outcomes, more than it's healthy for us.
Yeah, I literally just this last week bought a sticker that is stuck to my laptop now that says, your worth is not defined by your productivity, because I'm kind of the same as you, built a little the same as Joel, as far as like, I just feel like I have to be checking things off my list all the time. And if I don't check something off the list, then like I wasn't productive, even though I may have made moves towards whatever that was or accomplishing some sort of task. But like if it doesn't get checked off, then the day was lost. So I'm trying to rewire my thinking a little bit as far as like who I am as a person versus what I'm actually like producing, because ultimately that's more important. So, you know, I also have mixed emotions about 4 days. Initially I'm like, yep, that's a win. Sign me up. But, you know, in our line of work here at the church, you know, even on our days off, we're talking to people, or, you know, they're sending us texts or praying for people, or whatever it may be. So even though we may not be in the office, we're still working in a sense. And so I feel like even if we were only in the office 4 days, we would still be doing those same things. So work is still happening, I feel like, you know, in our line of work, even when we're not in the building. So I feel like 4 days would work for us. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, just a little pitch. And there's this tension with work, right? Because there are multiple things that are true about our work at the same time. Like, work is not a product of the fall. It's not an evil thing. It's not something we have to do because we're living in a broken world. Actually, we're told that in the creation poem that Adam and Eve had jobs and roles before the fall, before they ate from the tree, right? It's actually a good thing for us. And then Paul, later in the New Testament, is encouraging people in this church in Colossae, in the book of Colossians, to work with their whole heart as if they're working for the Lord Jesus, not just for their earthly boss, right? And so we're supposed to work hard. Work is good. But there's something insidious and something that is sneaky that it just creeps into all of us, because it's the cultural waters we just swim in America of we are what we produce. We are what we do. I mean, when you introduce yourself to somebody for the very first time, what's one of the very first things that comes up? What do you do? What do you do? This is where I work. And we have to watch that in ourselves. And I think the reason that I look at the No More Fridays idea, or I look at the 4-day work week idea, and I'm like, ugh, is because there's probably more of my understanding of who I am and whose I am inside of what I do and what I produce and my title than I should have. And so I think it just shows me something. It points the mirror up to me and something that's a little ugly, something that is not who I'm called to be, and there's a better way. And so who knows? We might make the shift one of these days.
Listen, we would still group chat all day. That's the thing with our office is even if we are not in the same building, we are still communicating.
That's true.
Whether it's in gifts or, you know, memes. But still, that's fine.
That is true.
And I loved towards the end of the article, it talked a lot about how it was really beneficial to women because they are typically the ones doing most of the work around the house and taking care of the children and stuff. And so having that extra day, it gave them a lot more wiggle room and, you know, better mental health and things like that. So I thought that was a really great point that they threw in there too.
Yeah, because when you think about, you typically have 2 days off. The first day, like, I'm doing laundry and cleaning and picking up on, you know, things that I haven't been able to do during the week necessarily. So then really you have 1 day to do whatever you want. So I don't know. It's fascinating.
It is. And it's a really interesting point to think about the different effect it could be for women too. It's something, again, from my experience and life through my eyes, I would not have thought about that, but that makes a ton of sense.
Yeah.
So it could be another great benefit for 49 or 51% of the human population.
Well, thanks for joining us on this week of Atypical Talk. If you have questions or topics you'd like us to talk about, email those to atypicaltalkpod@gmail.com. You can follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Atypical Talk Pod. Make sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. We hope that these conversations today have helped you think wider, love deeper, and partner with God to bring the up there down here in your everyday life. Thanks for listening.
Zombie!